Hello, and welcome back to Violet Memoir. We're still hanging out with the crew, right? I wasn't about to, I don't know, say that we're chilling out with the crew in the schoolyard. It's fine. It's fine. You all can shut the fuck up. I like Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. There's a flash of annoyance in the eye. In his eyes, but it flickers and dies, morphing into something more melancholic. That smile never leaves his face, and there's no animosity towards me.
Don't worry about it, little man. I like swimming, and I want to do it as much as I can. He just worries too much. Nothing wrong with a little more eye candy, after all.
He waggles his eyebrows and sits up straighter. His loose tank top does little in the way of hiding anything, especially with how he's purposefully trying to emphasize the muscles on his chest. But I think he's just distracting me again. He doesn't want to talk about any of the heavy stuff, so he's just changing the topic. I suppose I should let him. I hope this isn't going to blow up in my face later. Right. Just promise me you won't overwork yourself, okay?
I won't, man. You're sounding like Lele. He must be so proud.
With that topic done and dusted for now, the mood lightens and there's a sense of relief filling my chest. I didn't realize that prodding Oscar about this would be so stressful. Too many bad memories, I suppose.
You're from Everwinter, right? You managed to find your way here pretty easily. Mr. Grumpy was spamming Lily's phone before you showed up.
Yeah, born here. I used to come to the beach a lot when I was a kid. My brother used to take me all the time, especially since Everwinter never really gets too cold. Oscar's little ears twitch at the mention of my brother, and there's something morbidly curious about the way he's inquisitively furrowing his brow.
Older brother?
Yeah.
He's got good taste. I think Evernorth Beach is like one of the best beaches I've ever been to. And trust me, I've been to a lot. The place is huge, and you can go so far before the current begins to drag you.
I'm only able to nod at that, unable to really keep focusing on the conversation. He says something else before laughing, something about an Ever South beach that doesn't exist. But all I can focus on is the window looking out over the shore, and in perfect view of a specific rock. It's sitting near the top of the sand, where it meets the dirt and meshes together. I've sat there so many times, but I can't remember any of those except for that night. The beach had been empty that night, and the breeze was so cool despite just coming out of summer. The waves were crashing against the shore, and it was so loud, and I...
Wallace, are you alright?
Jogging me back out of my memories is an otter whose face is barely an inch away from my own, sparking that familiar feeling when he pinned me against the wall yesterday, and that's that spicy mucilage scent, barely tingling my nose. Huh? I nearly jump when I feel a hand on my jaw. Pushing it up, it's Lily, and she's wearing a smile that's more suited for a devil than a college student as she stands next to my booth. Wow, don't drool on the table. People will stare. Sorry, I was daydreaming. I wasn't referring to that. Realizing that my gawking isn't very subtle, my cheeks tingle as blood rushes to them. It doesn't look like Oscar is oblivious to it either, as he's looking down at me with the biggest smug smile that I can easily imagine Lele smacking him. As we get Lily back into her place, I think over everything that had happened to us in the past few days, trying to reach for something to change the subject to, anything to get the focus off of my burning face. Just how good are you at swimming, Oscar? You're always talking about it, and the way you talk to your coach, you sound pretty legit. The way he stares at me with those sparkling eyes, filled with an excessive amount of smugness, lets me know that he's very aware of this not-so-subtle attempt at the conversation change. Thankfully, it looks like he's going to go along with it.
Pretty good, I'd say. I'm the best on the team currently. It should be considering I got a scholarship.
is getting a swimming scholarship that hard. I got a couple of small ones, but they're like really small. Lily sounds just as intrigued as I am. I didn't even qualify for any scholarships. Hell, I was lucky enough to be accepted into Everwinter with my grades. This isn't a super elite school, but it's still considerably a great land. What? Yes, okay.
Yeah, it's real hard. There's a very limited amount of scholarships they're allowed to give us. We're lucky we're in a division. Well, we're a Division 1 school, that's what that says. Or else those shots would have been even more limited.
Division 1 school?
Don't worry about any of the details, man. Just know that it's rare for them to not use a scholarship trying to poach an import from another country. You gotta be great, already competitively successful, and still have great grades.
That causes Lee to giggle and poke at the otter's arm, who gives a fat. Why am I false? I've already forgotten how to pronounce this word. It's false. That's what it means. Look, I just woke up like 2 minutes ago, guys. It's fine. It's fine. False wounded expression and looks at me pleadingly. I'm surprised it's surprisingly effective despite its obvious face-tishness. But he breaks into a chuckle of his own before I'm able to respond.
Hey, guys, come on, I'm smart. The brain's a muscle too, and if there's one thing I'm good with, it's working on my muscles. Maybe a little too much if coach is to go by.
Isn't the brain an organ? It definitely is.
Well, I'm pretty good with those two.
He leans forward and whispers that with a husky voice, laying it on super thick. My audible gulp is the final straw, stopping Lily from bursting out into laughter, and Oscar joins her, much to my humiliation. Despite how much fun they're having, he reaches out and rubs the side of my arm, in a comforting way. It's a bit out of place considering the tone, but looking up at his eyes, they look like they're trying to reassure me. Did he think he upset me with that? For someone who's always trying to be as playful and flirty, he's surprisingly sweet when he wants to be, and with both of their infectious laughter still roaring strong, I lose myself in the mood for as long as I can. After a couple of minutes of laughing and sharing stories about our time in Everwinter, Oscar having the most interesting, despite only being there for a couple years, Lucas finally walks over to our table and sits next to me with little fanfare. He looks awestruck like a child being taken to a theme park for the first time, looking around the bar and other patrons with his mouth agape. Everything okay? A nod is the only response he gives me, as his gaze jumps from table to table, completely oblivious to the rest of us staring at him.
I don't think he gets out much, so he's just enjoying the view. Ain't that right, Grumpy?
As at Oscar's little nickname, Lucas finally tears his eyes back to our... Oh god. Back to our table, pouting like we just interrupted one of his best naps of his life. I'm able to get closer, and he's a little jittery, probably from excitement, if I had to guess.
Yes, my parents don't take me out much. Well, we'll have to take you out more, right?
Oscar nudges my arm with his elbow and gives me a little wink, a small indication to play along. Unsure what to do, I just simply nod as he speaks, hoping that's enough for what Oscar's doing. I think he's trying to make Lucas feel more included and welcome in our group. Now that I think about it, he's always been trying to include the fox in everything we do. It's just like he said that day we met. Anyone can be friends if you try hard enough. He really believes that. I'm still not entirely sure, but I can't say it isn't a wonderful thing. What did that say? Wonderful thing to want. That's what that says. Speaking of people he will need to win over, a familiar possum's head is visible over Oscar's shoulder as he pushes through the door. It's hard to see with most of his body being blocked by the back of the booth, but it's clear from the pink color that he isn't wearing his usual outfit. Though he rounds the corner and all hell breaks loose. Sir. Sir. This is a Denny's. Like, what are you wearing? Like, why? I know this is a casual excursion, but this might be a little too casual. Lele's standing there, except he's wearing something completely different now. Instead of his usual leather jacket and red shirt, he's wearing something much more eye-catching and something I've never in a million years expected to see him in. He's wearing a pink hoodie, but instead of reaching all the way down to his torso, it stops just under his chest, allowing his stomach to be easily visible, as well as the features underneath. I'm not able to make out the details of them this far away, and I'm a little too stunned to really comprehend what I'm looking at. It's such a stark difference from how I imagine Lele in my head. He catches my eye, and when he sees how bewildered I am, he just lets out a sigh before giving us the barest of explanations.
My sister made me wear this.
Really? I don't believe you. That single action lights the fuse, and it sets off the rest of the group. Oscar all but jumps out of his seat, looking between the rest of us and Lele as if screaming, "Look at this!"
You never told me you can dress sexy. This looks like something I'd see at a club or something. Hell, I could even see myself wearing that, and that's saying something, man.
Well, you don't think the try-hard leather jacket look is sexy there, Oscar? I know a lot of people that think that outfit is... I've never been one for the leather look. For that leather look, anyway. You know. It's not Yu-Gi-Oh! Enough for my taste.
It's just something I used to wear in high school.
Really? Really?
You had a sexy phase, man? Can you stay in this more? I'm sure it won't just be me who appreciates it. I think all the boys would appreciate it.
He waggles his eyes towards me and even nudges Lucas's shoulder. Amusingly, the fox looks more surprised by that than what Lele's wearing.
You keep this up, and this will be the last time you'll ever see me in this. Come on, don't be like that. We're just saying you look hot, right, guys?
You do look really good. I'm enjoying the eye candy, but I feel like I'm not the target demographic here. Lele lets out a huff, but I don't think he's annoyed. I just don't think he was expecting this kind of attention. Instead of acknowledging them, he looks over at me. He's trying to gauge my reaction, but all I'm able to give him is a nod as I try to maintain eye contact. I know if I think too hard about what he's wearing, I'm going to light myself up like a candle, and that's in the best case scenario. Despite looking completely different from what he's usually wearing, it fits him in a way. It still feels like something he'd wear. There's something rebellious about someone as gruff as him wearing something like this. I get the feeling he's gotten a lot of attention because of this before, and that's probably part of the reason. It feels like Lele is trying to say something with this. Most likely, I don't give a shit what you think. My answer, or lack thereof, must be amusing to him because he lets out a snort and raises an eyebrow towards me.
I don't think that's the big deal, or what the big deal is. It's just a hoodie. My roommate wears stuff like this all the time.
And just like that, the attention switches from Lele to the fox, mostly Oscar's as he leans in closer, much to Lucas's dismay.
You have to introduce me to him sometime. I think we'd get along great. Yeah, I bet the two of you would. You're both very loud and have no sense of boundaries. So, is that a yes?
Lucas sighs and stares up at the otter, looking defeated and just nods, not even bothering to resist Oscar's prying. Yeah, prying. Content with that answer, Oscar goes back to his seat and he returns to admiring Lele. To his credit, Lele doesn't even bother reacting to his spying at all. I'm not sure if it's because he's just expecting this or if he's used to it, but either way, it doesn't look like the attention bothers him too much. Now, as exciting as Lele's new outfit is, we should probably settle down before we annoy the staff. At the sound of that, Oscar tears his eyes away from the possum and looks towards our side of the table, putting on an innocent face that looks too cheesy to be remotely believable.
I come here a lot, so let's not get me in trouble with the owners. I like this place, right? You're the one making a scene. We just wanted a quiet lunch, but I don't think you know what quiet means.
A devilish grin spreads across the otter's face, with much ominousness that it makes my skin crawl. His eyes dart between Lucas and me before he leans back against the cushioned seat. He looks like an evil mastermind with the way his eyes are winking with mischief.
I saw both of you checking him out. Wallace was a second away from drooling on his lap, and you're not as subtle as you think you are, Grumpy. I caught your eyes darting back to him whenever you thought no one was looking.
I expect Lucas to give some sort of retort or insult, but he just looks away, acting as if Oscar didn't say anything at all. I can't see any of his features, but I can almost feel the heat coming off of him.
Enough, both of you. Am I sitting next to Oscar?
Oh, right. Sorry. That was a little too fun to watch. I got distracted. Here, let me sort it out. After what feels like an hour of shuffling around, which is odd, actually is only a few minutes, but Oscar's desire to peek at every angle of Lele makes it feel like an eternity. We managed to seat ourselves inside the booth. On one side sits Oscar and Lele, the two largest guys in the group, though. Oscar dwarfs even Lele in sheer size. Despite not getting along, Lele approves of the idea. He's probably happy that Oscar isn't sitting with me or Lucas. There's no complaints from the other otters at that. There's too much of him to enjoy regardless of where he sits. Lucas looks relieved to not have to sit next to him, and there's a part of me that feels bad for Oscar. He's constantly being put on trial, and I'm almost certain he doesn't mean any harm. Our side of the table hasn't changed since we first got to our seats. Lily is next to the wall, and Lucas is sitting at the open end of the booth. Without any shuffling on our part to worry about, it becomes easier to focus on other things, such as Lucas not so subtly watching Lele sliding into the booth. It looks like Oscar was right about that after all. He caught me watching him and immediately sat up straighter, trying to adjust his already neat and tidy outfit. Thankfully, he doesn't reach up and rip at his head again. By the time we all got settled in, Lucas's ears were burning pink and Oscar's smirk had grown into a full-fledged grin. There's an awkward silence between the group, but before I can consider breaking it, Lily's clearing her throat. Our attention turns to her and she flashes a soft smile on her face. There isn't a single sign of discomfort or nervousness in her expression. Thanks for coming. Sorry for asking this on such short notice. I thought it'd be good to get together again to check on Wallace and work on our project some more. Not even a second after she finishes speaking, all eyes shift towards me. Concern and curiosity mixed together in everyone's eyes. Unlike Lily, I don't have the composure to handle nearly half a dozen people staring at me, so I stare towards the table, hoping that it will magically make this conversation be over. Everyone's waiting for an answer, though, and it's unfair to keep them waiting, worrying. I'm doing fine. It really was just a bad dream that left me a bit shook. I'm feeling a lot better after a good night's sleep. Knowing that there might still be doubts, I look up towards the group and give them an as authentic a smile as I can, the edges trembling slightly, not from any problems, mind you, just the attention it causes a swell of anxiety in my chest. After a moment, most of the occupants relax. Only Lele continues to stare towards me, his green eyes still bursting with worry, but he doesn't press any further. At times like this, it's a blessing that he's so much more quiet than the rest of the group. Oh, actually, let me... There. I will end the part here, everyone. So I will see you around.